you're really against boyfriends slash girlfriends. Like, what do you hate about that?
Everything. It's not a religious status. It's not a legal status. It's not a spiritual status. There is no evolutionary history of boyfriend and girlfriends existing. And what it does is it starts the pair bonding process without the safety and sacredness of marriage. So if you are spending time with someone alone, you're giving this person a title. They're supposed to be your person, but not really. I can break up with you anytime. I can leave you. I'm not really responsible for you. We're not a unit yet. So it's like it's what it creates, the dynamic it creates for women, and I'll give you the male part too, is it's like if your mom hadn't decided if you when you were born, if your mom hadn't decided if she was going to keep you or not. It's the closest example of that to our nervous systems and our evolutionary history. Because when we came in, we had a certain level of safety and certainty through our mother's attunement to our needs. And then our mom, had our dad containing her and providing for her so she could be relaxed and be with us. But if our mom every day was like half in, half out, and sometimes she'd be really loving, but then she was also unsure. Every time, you were fussy or anything, it would be like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't have to deal with this, right? You're not my husband. You're not my wife. That it's like this really weird kind of disruptive process in the psyche where you don't know where you stand because in our evolutionary history, Homo sapiens have been monogamous for 3.5 million years. And this what's fascinating about this to me is that if you study the of the cultures that we've studied, up to 85% of them allowed polygamous relationships. And yet, no one did them. Very few people did. I come from Pakistan, Pakistan is an Islamic state, and in
Yeah.
Islam, polygamy is allowed. And
Yes.
yet, in my 43 years of existence on this planet, I've only heard of one family. In a country where it is legally allowed, how come only one person's doing it? This fascinated me that
Isn't
85% of
it
cultures allowed it, but no one
is
does it.
is that associated with wealth? The reason I ask that is because I have a lot of Middle Eastern friends, and I've been to Qatar, and I do know how traditional it is. And from what my friend has told me, yes, people can marry multiple women, but typically it has to do with your income. If you can't afford to have multiple wives, then you don't. I guess you're not allowed to have multiple wives. But does it work something similarly in Pakistan?
You have to be able to provide for them equally, and your
Right.
first wife has to give you permission. But even if you you know adjust for that, there's a lot of wealth in Pakistan. It's just distributed, the way it's distributed everywhere. That they
Yeah.
don't do it. They don't do it. Even I know situations where the man should have done it, and he was being encouraged to do it, and he didn't do it. And the reason for this is because we pair bond. i- if you even remove Islam from it and look at those 85% of other societies where they allowed it, how come only few people did it? Because Homo sapiens pair bond.
They
We
respect the
like
partner.
we want to just be with one person. Now there is a cheater's gene in our history. There is it's actually been identified. There is a cheater's gene
Yeah.
that it's guessed
Okay.
that maybe half of the people have. So there are a few percentage of people that cheat and they're wired to do so. And of course they can choose not to, but they do it. But mostly we're monogamous and we enjoy that. So what happens in boyfriend girlfriend situations is we start pair bonding sort of, but the safety is not there. So it's like a broken process. And then for the men, it's really dangerous because in all of our evolutionary history, men have never had this type of open access to women. They've had to
Mhm.
prove themselves. They've had to become somebody. They've had to show their character, their strength, their providing, protecting in order to win a mate, in order to earn the right to be a father and a husband and all of these things, right? Earn the man card, as one would call it. And now we have these men that have not earned that within themselves, going and sleeping with multiple women, having multiple girlfriends, or even if it's a good guy, it's gonna switch his conserve energy switch on, which men have more of than women do, and he's gonna say, well, if I can get it with the least amount of effort for just looking cute, well, then I don't have to get my college degree. I don't have to work hard. I don't have to, do all
Yeah,
these other things, right? So it's dangerous for society, for people to be in these full relationships, for men and women and children.
I agree. I want to talk about monogamy a little bit because you said that, like we're talking about tradition, and I heard, I think it was Esther Perel. We talked. She mentioned monogamy, and historically, monogamy, from what she has said, I haven't done my own research. Said monogamy was you were with one person for the rest of your life. Didn't necessarily mean that you had sex with one person for the rest of your life. So, do you think? I want to know. Do you think it's normal for humans to be, I guess, to have sex with just one person for the rest of their life?
I believe it is, and this is what I've
Mhm.
seen. Like, this is the norm in my culture. Obviously, there's bad people in every culture. There are people that
Yeah,
cheat, there's people that do all kinds of things, but I see people thriving and not wanting to, even men in my culture that have the status. Like when you talk about the right to like marry multiple partners being wealth, it's not wealth, it's being able to provide equally. Provide means housing, food, and clothing. Like, we're not talking about Chanel and like Mercedes, right? Like
yeah.
now on social media, it's been blown out of proportion, but providing is this basic evolutionary survival needs, right? Most like men that can do it, they just don't. They don't. They prefer to be with one pair bonded partner. I think right now, if you look at if there's a person that's never been outside of the West, this is all they know, and they see this hyper-sexualization of society on social media and in everywhere around them. I know they can't wrap their heads around this. But people in healthy, committed relationships have no desire to step outside of that. Like it doesn't make sense. It almost invokes a disgust response. Like there's absolutely no need for it. My husband and I were having a conversation about this years ago, and he said that this is what separates you from an animal. He's like, animals just go and they have urges and they just go meet their urges and they do whatever they want. But we're part animal, but we're not all animal. We're also part divine, right? We're created in the image of God, and we have consciousness and we have awareness, and we can separate our animalistic urges from our heart and our emotions and our consciousness. So right now, what's happening is not normal for us. We're behaving like animals.
What I will say is this, is that a man that is focused, that has purpose and is driven is way less likely to cheat on you, to sleep around than the guy that doesn't have anything going on.